Congress returns to Washington from its August recess tomorrow, and one of the many issues waiting for lawmakers deals with trade, including the nearly 14-month-long trade war with China. This past Tuesday, the president tweeted that trade negotiations are going well with China, but then in that same tweet added that China is hemorrhaging jobs and companies as the trade war lingers. That was followed on Wednesday by China announcing it is set to continue negotiations in October to end the trade dispute. All of this will be top of mind in Washington tomorrow. While it is unlikely the trade dispute between China and the United States will be solved anytime soon, there is a trade agreement that could be ratified and put into place right now. The question is, will the democratically controlled House move on that measure?
Hopefully, by early fall, we'll have USMCA in place. That'll be a huge advantage for us in the upper Midwest in terms of a trade agreement with both Mexico and Canada.
South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds tells me he believes that during the August recess, Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was working to shore up support among her caucus for the USMCA, adding that it would benefit the United States right now to have some stability in American trade policy. With the trade war with China now stretching into its 14th month and farmers bearing much of the brunt of that war, when might an agreement be reached? I asked Senator Rounds if he believes this trade war with China has now become a war of wills, where neither side wants to blink and appear to have caved to the pressure.
I don't think that's the case. I do think there are two separate issues with regard to the trade with China. The first is the trade issue itself and whether or not it's free trade, and the theft of intellectual property. There's also a separate issue, which is a national security issue with China. China has taken a very aggressive posture with regard to their defense spending and with regard to what they're doing in the South China Sea in that area. They're actually beginning to move into the trading lanes, which about half the trade in the world goes through the South China Sea, and we depend on that along with a lot of the other nations.
If China is moving towards controlling the trading lanes of the South China Sea, that stance could make them the gatekeeper of U.S. foreign trade going forward. While much attention is being paid to the state of the U.S. economy because of this continuing disagreement with China, and rightly so, Senator Rounds says even when this trade war ends, there will be other potentially larger issues involving China.
It's one thing to have healthy economic competition. That's good for both countries. But we see them also establishing a defense policy which is very offensively minded. That is of concern to us.
Now, earlier this week, China objected to a new round of tariffs imposed by the United States, actually filing a complaint against the U.S. at the World Trade Organization after tariffs on $300 billion worth of goods kicked in last Sunday. That includes everything from diapers to shoes to smartwatches and televisions. China says these tariffs breach agreements reached at the G20 summit.